And if you have some watercolor papers or Bristol board or just some kind of thickish paper to do your painting on, some watercolors, brushes, pens, water. I mentioned what we needed when I resent the invitation, so hopefully that you got that. But I wanted to just do something kind of fun. I mean, we're going to do leaves, and I found this little card. I like to pull these cards once in a while, and this one says, "You must do the thing you think you cannot do." Eleanor Roosevelt. And the reason I liked it was I like these little shapes. You can see these little leaf shapes that they have. So I'm going to kind of follow some of that a little bit. Maybe not make a whole thing, but so basically try out your brushes if you have different watercolors, different brushes, just to see what kind of effects you can get. And let me everybody get muted if we could for now. And what we'll do is get started. So this is just, these were what I did to announce the class. And I just did the little leaf shapes first. And then after they dried, I doodled in them. So what we need to do is to start, we just need to get a couple sheets of watercolor paper, or if you have your art journal, that's great too. And I'll start with one piece. And I like to try different papers that I haven't tried in a while. Like this one is a paper that I've never tried it, so I thought I'd try it and just see what it looks like. And some other paper. This is I think a Strathmore paper. I'm just going to try some brushes I haven't used. This is a interesting kind of pointy brush, and I'm going to see what happens. And the first thing we need to do is just kind of loosen yourself up. Just get your paints out. Kind of like I'm going to try these. These are mineral watercolors, Daniel Smith Primatech. I don't use them very often, so I thought, why not get them out and just make some leaf shapes using a brush. Now, this is a very pointed one. I have no idea what's going to happen, but if you just do random leaf shapes, kind of in any leaf shape that you would like. Let's see, let me grab a little palette here. This paper, I love this watercolor here. It's called Serpentine Genuine, and it changes. It has like a gold and green combination of colors. It's so pretty. It just kind of gets some colors that you want to work with. I think I'm going to try this interesting kind of it's called Mayan blue. These are mineral pigments. So I think on one page, I'm going to just do mineral colors just for fun. And then maybe on my other page, I'll just play with some other colors. I'll try this color here and try to get about 3 colors to work with. And I just have a little enough here to get started. And I'm just going to try this brush. I have no idea how it's going to behave. So I'm going to start with just a light wash, kind of a light amount, and just see what happens. I'm going to just make I'll start one right in the center, I'll start with my stem first, really thin line. This looks like I can do a really nice thin line. And then I'm just going to push down and see if I can get kind of a leaf shape, which I can. It's real pretty, but it's really little. This brush doesn't have a lot of, what do you call it? It doesn't hold a lot of water. I guess that's the word I'm trying to come up with. I'm just going to throw a little color in here. Just once you've made your leaf shape, just drop in the colors and just let the colors do their thing. And if you make a leaf that has like spots, that's really nice because leaves do have spots. And that's what I'm just going to kind of brush that in a little bit, try different things. They may just switch over. The mineral colors are a lot less, they're just a little different. They have a lot of weight to them actually. So in the paper, I'm noticing this paper has a lot of grain to it, or a lot of texture. So just play making leaf shapes, and then you can take another leaf shape and go in a different direction. Maybe just turn it a little and then make random. This is kind of an interesting brush. Whatever brush you have, just kind of work with it. A pointy brush is better, of course, than a flat brush, of course. And watercolors will dry lighter, so always keep that in mind. And if you want to doodle on these if you want to just stay with your dark colors, then just kind of keep it a light wash. If you intend to maybe do some if you want to use some white pens or white ink, then go ahead and try all different things. This one's going to be a little more intense. And then just turn it and do another leaf. Try different directions. It makes it it makes like a nice page, especially if you want to just like a little painting, if you wanted to have a painting or just something, or a greeting card you want to give to someone. This could turn into something really nice like that. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates. I'm just going to put a little more dark right in this part and let it float up. And this is this is called genuine, it's amethyst. So it's got a lot more weight to it. It's kind of a heavy pigment, I can see. I'm just going to let that sit like that and see what happens. Maybe I can pull this color. It's a little thick. Oops. There you go. The thing I love about this leaves, because leaves are organic and your painting can be organic. Kind of, they're not perfect every time. They're not the same shape. They're not the same color. You just have fun kind of creating your own leaves. I'm going to just turn it a little this way. And I'm going to try a different brush. This brush, now you can see what kind of shape it makes. And if you try a different one, here's just a round one. And let's see, I think someone's got they're trying to see who, there we go, okay, got it. So I'm going to try a different brush shape just to see, in a different watercolor. This is just plain old, these are called Daniel Smith florals. It's these little cases, they come like this, and then you can add more colors, which is really nice. So this is this green apatite, which is a gorgeous color for making leaves. It kind of changes colors as well. I'm just going to take it straight out, and let's see how much darker it is than the other one. So I might just try to lighten that up a little because it looks like it might be a little too dark. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to try the same move, and I'm going to press down, and it looks like I could make a much fatter shaped leaf. I'm not going too wet. I'm just kind of, not a dry brush either, but just enough to get some, you want to have some water in there so that you can take a new color and put that inside the other one. I love that when you can do that with taking several colors and just let the watercolor blend onto the page or onto the paper. And this is a really textural paper, so I've never used this. This is that Bockingford paper. It's interesting. It has a neat, interesting texture, which is going to be interesting when I'm using it as a doodle, because the lines everything will be different. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to drop another, maybe change the size of the leaf, maybe go bigger this time. So I'm just going to go maybe opposite like this. I'm going to go much bigger. Try anyway. So this is like I want it to be a much bigger leaf. There we are. So if you have different sizes to doodle in, that's what we're doing. We're just creating little spaces to do our doodles. If you keep your watercolor wet, keep it wet, then you can do some nice dropping in of other colors. So like I'm going to try this quinacridone rose. It looks really pretty. I'm just going to drop it right here and see what happens. Maybe in the tip, and maybe just do a splotch thing, because leaves sometimes have little blotches. You can even do that with this one, just drop in a couple pinks or inside that one. So we've got a little slightly bigger, which kind of helps to give that, it just seems to be better when you've got different sizes, because like leaves do have, on a specific tree, the sizes of leaves vary. So it's just nice to have different kinds of sizes. I'm going to try this color. This is called Cascade Green. Never tried that one. I'm going to bring this right here. I'm going to make another bigger leaf right here. Try to make it. So just pushing my brush down gives me that shape that I'm looking for. And I'll try maybe this beautiful green apatite again. It's amazing how this stuff changes color. It has something, I don't know what it's made of, but it's pretty interesting. It has interesting color changing when it dries. I'm just going to kind of do this to give it a division. So I just created, let's see, we've got 6 here. So I'll probably do a 7th one because I want to make it odd number, right? We don't want even numbers on our page. And then we're going to do another page because we got to have, this has got to have some time to dry. So it might be good to maybe go a little less wet because I've got a pretty wet, lots of wetness here. Now you can use a hair dryer just to speed things up if you have one on hand. If you don't, just have patience is a good thing. So I'm just going to do another one, a little tiny, just kind of a small one right here. Just a little guy. And I'm just going to put some color right here. So now we have like 7 leaves on our paper. I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to do another round. Let's see. I'm going to use this paper. Now this I'm going to try, remember from this little, you must do the thing you think you cannot do. This really cute, I like the way these leaves are joined together, kind of in a little branch, small little branch. So I'm going to use that as a guide. So if you can see it too, you can kind of use it as a guide. I'm not going to go as wet. I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm going to take, let's see. I'm going to use a little bit smaller brush. This is number 8. I'm just going to I'm not going to do as many, I'm not going to use so many colors, or not so much water. That's the word I was trying to think of. So I'm just going to use this paint, which I really love. This stuff is pretty intense though, so I have to kind of, it dissolves really easy. This is by Golden. It's called Core, and it dissolves really fast. I'm just going to get that dry. And it stays pretty much intense, true to color, which is amazing. So it doesn't dry lighter necessarily. It's pretty, but it's very intense to work with. So when you dissolve it, I'm going to try a little sap green because we are making leaves. I'll start with a little sap and then I'll change it. Maybe I'll add some purple. But in this one, I'm going to just do a little branch that maybe I'll start it with the leaf, one little leaf, maybe up here. I'll just start with a small leaf and then I'll just, not really big. It's about an inch long. There we are. And just taking your time and just enjoying the colors and watching them, you put colors inside the other colors and watch them kind of merge together. And this is very pale, and I'm just going to keep it that way. And I've got a little phthalo turquoise. I might as well add a little of that. See what happens. Here we are. And now I'm going to take that branch. I'm going to go and I'm going to make, I'm going to try to do it so that I have my next leaf, which will be right here. It's going to come up right here. And I'm just going to bring it right, just about the same size, not much, similar in size and similar in shape. It's not going to be exactly, but here's my second one. And I'm just going to drop the same colors. This time I think I'll just keep it, I'll try to not vary the colors so much. And what's interesting about watercolor, some colors spread things out and like they push the other colors away from each other, which is really interesting. So just kind of observe what your colors are doing. It's just that it's amazing. They have their own personalities, each of your colors. So you'll notice when you're working, you'll notice that as you're learning, about your colors. I'm going to do another one here, right here. I'll just do another leaf coming off this one. Just relax and let those colors do their thing. See if I'll throw some yellow in there just 'cause. see what happens. And I'm noticing I just kind of made a little boo-boo, but that's all right with it. While it's still wet, I can kind of extend that leaf shape out, and it's all good. I'll just kind of work that color that was in here while the paint's still wet, of course. So now I've got 3 leaves on this little branch, and I'm going to work my way down. And I think I'll just do another segment of the stem and bring it down. And then do the same thing, just make another leaf. I'll go here. Maybe I'll just do a set of like 5. Oh, let's see, we've got 5 leaves on this one stem. And I'm trying to reduce the amount of water just so that so it will dry in time. I'm just going to take some of these other colors that I had already in my palette and then just put those in there too. You can get dimension just by putting dark at the base of the leaf and at the tip, and then letting that go inward, and it will actually give you some nice dimension. I'm going to do another one, another stem, or another leaf off this part here. And I'll just go up, make a real thin, very thin line, and then just press down and create another leaf. It just takes practice to get your shapes, and you can be loose like this. I could leave it like that, or I'm going to close it up, but you could do there's all kinds of ways you can make your leaves. You can make them kind of loosey goosey, kind of painterly, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Or you can be real neat and clean. Either way, you're going to doodle over these. So, all right, so now I'm just going to take my stem and I'm going to elongate if I can get that part. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to bring it down so that it kind of continues, maybe about to bite right there. And then I'm going to I'll start another one. So I've got that, and then I could just bring it, or maybe do another one over here, or I can continue the leaves, however you want to do it. But just, you want to get like a segment. And what I see, which is really cute on this, there's like round berries. I'm just kind of looking. It looks really cute. They have these little round berries, and I don't know where they came from, but they're really cute. So I'm going to just try. Why not? Because the round berry shape will be a nice place to doodle. So I'm just going to use a little purple. And I'll put a berry maybe over here. I'll make a circle. Ooh, that's very intense. I've got lots of color there. Oh boy, that's not too. There we go. Just make a little circle. So that's a little berry, one of the berries. And it could have little pieces that come off like, whoop, kind of like this. And then maybe I'll do a second one somewhere. Let's see, over here. So basically, we're just giving areas that we're going to be able to doodle inside. I'll do another there's our little berry. And I think I need to join them somehow. Maybe do maybe a third one over here. And then what we can do now is just join them with a mixture of the purple and the green would be a nice combination to make the stems, or to make however we're going to connect these. I'm just going to connect them like this, and I'm just going to bring it down kind of like some stems. I have no idea what kind of plant this is, but it doesn't matter. It's just a plant that's of our own making. So I can now, what I might do is take this and do another set of leaves, and then let that, hopefully my other one will dry in time, so that it still looks pretty wet over there. But just make some more leaves. Give yourself some time to make some fun leaves. I'll just grab some paint here. We'll try this color. Just enjoy the way the colors mix together. And you can make your leaves, this one, I think I'll make bigger leaves because I want to have a variation of colors or sizes that I'm going to doodle in doodle into. So here I'm just going to making a leaf a different way. Usually I start from the stem and I go up like this, and then I push down. That's the usual way I do it, but then it's also okay to do it from the top of the leaf going down. Any way that works for you. I'm just going to put a little color down here and a little bit up here. And then I'll just create another set of stems and leaves. This one's a little bit bigger. And I'll do this one. That was great seeing Cheryl. So glad that anyway, wonderful to see her, and we miss her smiling face. And we look forward to when she can come back full on. Okay. So I've got this one. I want to make this leaf just a little bigger, a little bolder. And while I'm just working into it while it's still wet, you're able to do that. Yeah, like that. And I think I'll do another set. It might be fun to try different shaped leaves, like if, like a maple leaf or different shapes, rounded ends would be kind of neat to try. Just all kinds of things to try. Well, that dried really fast. Wow. So what I did is I went into a dry wash, and now I have to just glaze over it, because when it's dry, it won't move around. So I'm just doing what is called a glaze right now, which is just do a little bit of, I just paint right over the dry layer, and I have a new color. This brush is not as pointy it's funny. It's a smaller brush than the last one, but it doesn't make as fine of a line. So it's really interesting how your brushes how they behave. So I've got so let's see, one more leaf, I think, and then this one will be kind of ready to dry. There we go. This is just a very relaxing activity. Doesn't take a lot of materials. It's very simple. And it's rewarding, because what you get afterwards they're always delightful. Just light the less amount of paint, then you can just watch it move around. And I tend to oversaturate because I love the colors, but I'm trying to be a little softer so I can doodle over it. All right, so that's that. I'm sticking with that. And then I'm gonna do a couple more berry shapes, just to kind of maybe slightly bigger. Purple berries. Almost look like pomegranates, but they're not pink, or red. Slightly bigger, there we are. And then I'll just take those little lines and bring them out, and maybe one more, and that will be this little page. Where do I want them? I don't know. Let's see, maybe just turning your paper around is a good idea. Just taking it and moving it. And then you'll decide where you think something needs to happen. And I just think it needs to be right there. Kind of balances it out a little bit. I'll make my little things that go out, and that is that. And these aren't perfectly round, it's okay. Just gonna leave those without a stem. And maybe 1 or 2 leaves, and I'm good with that. Just a loose leaf just laying around looks like that would be fun. So I'm gonna do it like this. And then throw a little color in it and bring the stem a little longer. And then maybe as I turn it around, just turn your page around. And then you can kind of see where you want. I think that's, I'll just leave it like that for now. I'd like maybe do another, I would do another leaf here somewhere just to fill this page up. And I'm still waiting for this to dry. This one here still, I don't know if your first one's dry, but if it's not, I don't have any dry ones to work on, except for some round blobs. But if you have any from last week, you can always work on those. Okay, a little bit of purple in that one just to bring that purple in. Try a different color. There's some other colors, but I keep going back to the same ones because I just think they're so pretty. Maybe a blotch of pink. Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit. I think that's enough. I can just go, oh, because from here I go again. I can just keep going, and it happens. And just filling your page full of things to doodle later. I'm just going to do that with this one. Just trying a different way of creating leaves. Just trying like a little more of, these are more thick. I'm just joining them a little bit differently. Maybe add some green. There we go. So now I think I have enough to play with there. And maybe a little stem would be nice on this one. And a stem on this one. I probably have too much going on, but that's all right. So there we go. I'm gonna let that sit. Just leave it alone. And I wanna get back to this one that I had here. But because this is still wet, I mean, I don't see any areas that are dry enough to work on. I want to show you some different doodling ideas. So let's say if you did some leaf, this one I really love because it's very loosely done, where you have the pen. I use the pen very kind of loosely around the shape of the leaf. I just did it on purpose. I didn't try to outline it. I went outside of it a little bit. And so that would be something that you could do, is just to take your lines and just go out. And I'll show you a little. This is not the one. Let's see. There's another one here. This one, I went on the outside of it, and then I varied the thickness of the line to give it just an interesting weight. So I just making the first line and then varying the thickness. So I'm going to find myself a blank, something I can work on. So you can, if you have like doodles from last week or some blobs from last week, that would be great to go ahead and do. I have my little bird doodles I had started. Let's see what I've got. I'd really like to do the leaves, hoping that they'll dry. But you can see just as like some exercises. Here's a set that I really like. So you can see I went around the edges. First, I actually did the center. I did this part. I first started just to create those veins, and then I made the changes of the weight of the lines. And so I use these micron pens. That's what I use, different weights. My favorites are I usually like these 4 pens right here. It's a number 1, a 3, a 5, and a brush. Those actually give you a nice wide range of shapes or thicknesses. Well, let's see, I'm gonna just do, since remember last week or the week before, we had these little borders and I hadn't really done, I did this one, but I hadn't really done any doodling on it, on this little border here. So if you're doing your veins, you're gonna create the veins, you can just create little lines inside your leaves to make the veins. You can do that throughout the whole thing. I'm gonna try to find one that's dry. This one is, nope, they're not dry yet. Let's see if there's one here. There, I think I've got one that's sort of dry. This one, I should just get my dryer out here. I'm getting a little drier, and if you have one, I've got this, let's see, just much quicker to, sometimes you just have to hit it, especially because right now where I'm at, oops, I'm actually much more humid. Normally this would dry because I live in the desert. This would dry so fast, but because it's a rainy day, it's been raining for days, it's much more humid. So I'm gonna just plug my little dryer in. And there we are. So this little guy, it's not really your normal dryer there. I'll have to warn you if you get one of these. This is called a heated crafting tool. This is definitely much stronger than a hair dryer. And it's actually, what I love about it, it will heat and it will just, does it really fast and it doesn't make a lot of noise. It's a pretty quiet, it's quiet. But if you get too close, you could actually burn your paper. So, you know, like I can see I'm kind of heating up this paper and it's sort of curling because it's drying faster on the top than on the bottom. But at least I'm getting these leaves dry. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to do the same thing with this other one I was working on. So basically, if you don't want to wait, you can always dry your paper with one of these tools, or a hair dryer is fine too. So that did it. That's how quick that works. So when you have paper that curls like this, if you have paper that does, you can just tell it to go back to where it was. Just kind of curve it, bend it a little bit, and it should go back right where it was. So now I'm ready to do my doodling. I could do it with brush or I could do it with the pen. I prefer actually to do it with a brush, but today on this one, I think with last week, we did use a brush to make our lines, and you're welcome to do that. And if you do that, you just use a nice, like a brush that has a nice thin, fine tip. Any type of small, or any brush, like even this brush probably would make really nice lines because it has a really fine tip. I'm gonna just try it for fun. And now I'm gonna just bring in my dark colors. Got these are dark grays and blues. I'm just gonna take, let's see this one. I wanna see how dark I can make it. Because I really am kind of trying to reproduce a black line or what looks kind of black. Let's see, this was called Lunar Blue. I don't know. So see, it's a nice dark color, which is nice. And I just want to see, and if you want to try it on a scrap piece of paper because you don't want to ruin your painting, try making lines on a scrap piece. Just see how it works. So like this, these are not as fine as I think they would be, so I'm not going to do it. That's why it's good. And also you can test like how much water it will hold and what your lines will look like. It's always good to try it on something else before you start on your doodle. So I'm not going to use that brush because it's just not, it's way too, the lines are not thin enough for what I want. So I'm going to try it with this one. Got the same amount of paint. I'm just going to take some color and see if I can get some nice fine lines. So here you can see I'm making much finer lines. So this is what I'm going to use. This is a little round brush. It's a size 4. It's funny how different sizes of brushes are different in their, a size 4 in one brand is different than a size 4 in another. So this one I like the control I'm getting on that. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. So now I'm going to go to this little guy and I'm going to I'll start with this one. I'm just going to make a line going down the vein, making that center vein my leaf. all the way down to the end of the stem. And then I can choose to make more of a traditional leaf. Maybe on this one, I'll just do a traditional leaf with traditional veins. But you can do all kinds of things. You can make circles, you can make wiggly lines. But in this one, I'm just going to do the traditional. I'm making my little lines that kind of curve from the center to the edge. I'm seeing I'm much heavier handed now than I was in the center one. That's part of the doodling process, especially if you're not using a pen, because a pen, it's the one thickness is all you're going to get. And the brush, you can vary. So I'm just going to do this, and I have a textured paper, so it is acting different on a textured paper. So now, if I want to vary the lines, the thickness, the weight, this is a really nice thing to do. You just you can do this with a pen, or you can do this with your brush. But I'd like to make a little heavier weight right in these little areas here. So just oh, I have a cat that's yelling at me. It's a little bit tricky because I'm not doing it with a pen, but you can make the weight just a little thicker at the bottom. It gives it some interest it just looks interesting to do that. So I'm just kind of thickening the line in in the center to give it a little more weight. And on the edge, I didn't go all the way to the edge, so I'm just going to try to hit the edge with that. So that looks, to me, it looks okay. And I could thicken the other side, just giving some weight to the end of that line. I'm just going to leave that alone. And now, if I want to make swirlies, I like this leaf just by itself. I don't even want to touch it right now because I like it. Now this one, I'm ready to do something to. So I could take load my brush with some color, but I don't want to put too much color on it. And I'm going to do a little swirl, like maybe a spiral. I'll start it. Hopefully I can make a spiral right in here. And just kind of, I'm going to go outside there a little bit. I just made a little spiral. It's really very faint. And so I'm going to try to thicken or darken that a little bit. There we go, just like that. And I'm just going to leave that like that for now. And maybe I can do some little, on this one, make little, I think I might try a little wiggly line. It just goes down the center like this. And then just play. There we go, kind of like a peas in a pod. And then I could make a darker shape, like another leaf inside the leaf. So I've got those, and that's pretty dark, so I might have to highlight that with something else. And here I'm gonna just do maybe some little, I don't know what I want to do with that. Circles, maybe. I'm just gonna make kind of half circles or partial circles. I'm just going to leave those like that for now, and I can always fill those in with watercolors or something. And this one, I don't know, what could I make? I could make dots, but I think with this, like if you could see with this one, I did different, I kind of went a little crazy with some of these. Here's more of a traditional leaf. And then this one I really liked with the lines. And the way I just did that is I just took, let's see if I can have one big enough. I'm not touching that one. I love that one. So I'm just going to start with a line down the center on this one. And then I'm just going to do lines right next to it, kind of just vertical lines. I'm just creating that. And you can barely see it, but I think if I enhance it with white, it will look really cool. So now I'm going to stop using the brush. And I wanted to show you with the white pen how cool if you use a white pen, let's see, grab some. Just get your, always with your, if you test your pen to make sure it's working, and especially with the pump pens, you don't want a big blob on your paper. So it's always good to test it. So this one, I'm going to just take with what I had done, the lines. I really like but it's so dark. So I'm just going to take the white line, and this paint pen is not really coming out really opaque. So that means it needs to be shaken a little bit more. If you have a white ink, that would be great too. Let's see if this will work now. That's better. So always test your pens before you start. I'm just going to go back over what I had already gone over, see if it gets a little bit brighter. Yeah, that looks better. There we go. I've got those little vertical lines going through that. And then this one, I think I want to do dots, just white dots. And what's great about dots, start with your dots, just kind of pressing down. You get your thinnest dots, and then you can always fatten them a little, vary the weight or the thickness of them so they're not all the same size. You can always just kind of make it slightly bigger, which makes it more interesting, I think. So we've got dots on this one. You can also try using metallic paints too. That would be, metallic watercolors would look really beautiful on this. So we've got dots. And in this one, I think I'm going to add some white circles inside these half circles. I'll just make smaller circles inside. And that just gives you some highlights. And here, this one would be interesting, I think, just by something slightly different. I'm going to just take some lines, like little hatch marks. I'm going to go up the side of this leaf and just see kind of repetitive lines. And that's kind of fun. This gives texture to your leaf and highlights, because especially if it's really dark. You've got some interesting, I don't know if you can see that. I'm noticing my pen is definitely trying to be, it's not being a happy pen. Must be an old one. I probably pulled an old one from the stash. There, that's better. And if you can always go back over to get your highlights. If you have a silver metallic pen or just white ink, that always can get areas that are light or too dark, you can brighten them up. All right, so we got that side. And I think I'm just going to leave that side like that and let the other side be dark. And then with the spiral, maybe just add some, maybe go around it again with the white pen just to highlight that a little bit. Might be just take some of these lines and just bring them up. Yeah, that's different. Now I can take my pen, because all these are very clean and I kind of like them like that. But if I want to take my pen and use this really fine tipped one and just kind of make some, maybe just go around the outside, really mindfully and slowly go around the outside of my leaf just to give that definition, this edge, a little bit more definition. And you've already got your shape, so you're just basically tracing outside. That's one way to do it. And then you can make the weight in the stem a little bit different. You can, there's all kinds of things you can do to create depth and interest. So I'm going to do one side a little heavier than the other. So I've got this little side, this side is going to just have a slightly thicker line than the other side. And vary the weight of the lines too, so you can get, so it looks more organic. I've got that side, it's just leave that one like that. And then maybe this one, I'll take this edge. And now my pins, I probably went into if you go into anything that's wet, your pin will stop working, will probably stop working. So it's just go back to and activate it on a dry piece, and it should get back to normal. Here, I'm just going to go around on this one. So I think that I'd like to see how everybody's doing. This is something you can spend hours on. Once you get the leaf shapes and you have everything. And I see this one needs a little some help, but I think I'd like to do something, instead of being inside the lines, I might try something more organic, I guess, or not so much in the line. So I'm going to intentionally squiggle my lines so that it looks kind of like I'm going outside a little bit. Just intentionally squiggling these lines off the edge of this leaf. And now I've got this interesting shape going. And that I could fill in with my pen. That leaf just needed it needed a better shape. So you can do that too. So you can keep building. Here we go. And the very last part on this one, I just put some dots, like right here, nice big bold dots. 2 peas in a pod, that's what it looks like. Maybe another one here. So that is that. And that, because I just love that leaf. It's just leave, some of the leaves plain and unmarked. And this one looks like it needs some kind of finishing or edge. So I'm just going to take that, and then you'll know, just put it aside and see how it looks, go back to it later. There we go. I'm just going to leave that. And maybe this also needs a line going up the center, or a couple of lines. I'll just do maybe 2 lines going up the center. What I could do is I could fill that in, make it thicker, just a thick line. So you can combine the pens and the watercolors. There we go, just like that.